Alright, so we just got out of the Infinity War movie.
Yeah, oh my god, that was amazing.
So, we're gonna try to keep this under as short as possible, but man, how can we? Because
it was a lot.
I'll tell you this, we're both so ready to
go back in and see it again.
Yeah, man. So get ready, because we're both about to geek out like crazy right now. For real, like, this is insane movie. You gotta tell me. Let's start.
Everyone has to go see it. If you don't see this movie, you're missing out. Like, why are you not seeing this movie?
For real. If you haven't seen any comic book movie and you go and watch this, it's still worth watching. And I'm gonna tell you this, it will make you want to go and watch all the rest of them. You probably go binge watch them after watching this movie. It's so good. And technically, I don't think you really need to see the other ones to be able to enjoy this movie, right?
You really don't. That's something that Marvel did very well, is that, like, they included enough story to make you question who each of these characters are, but if you were watching it overall, you understand what's happening. It's not like you don't have to have a certain understanding.
You don't need to really learn the whole backstories. So, you know, even though they intertwined and created this story, it's not like you have to watch those before you watch this. But
exactly.
Regardless, either way, those are all awesome too. So I feel like I might watch them as well. But man, let's start from the beginning, man. Like, insane first couple of minutes. Like,
so spoiler.
But yeah, man, the fight scene between the Hulk and Thanos. Instant action pack as soon as you start watching the movie.
The moment, the moment it opened, that was what I thought was going to be like one of the final battle scenes from like the advertisements and stuff that they've really been pushing, and from like reviews or making people want to go see it. I had no idea that was going to be the start of the movie from the very beginning.
But you know, I'm jumping a little ahead of myself, but one thing that I really thought that was cool that they did at the movie, one of the great things they did was they got all the stuff that we already expected to happen out front. So that's a perfect example right there. Like, we knew there was going to be a battle of the Hulk versus Thanos, but the way Thanos just manhandled him, man,
that was bad.
Like, I give bad props to Thanos, man, for real. We did. And but we knew of course, Hulk was going to have to lose to Thanos. You know what I mean? Obviously, otherwise it would have been too easy.
There wouldn't be a movie,
Yeah, exactly. So for them to kind of get that out of the way right at the beginning, it was a couple other things too. For example, Tony's chess piece. You know,
dude, that nanite chess piece was amazing.
So a lot of people were all wondering why is Tony still wearing that chess piece and all this and that. So they clarify that for you guys right at the beginning. Yep. And I like that they do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was actually a really good idea. It flowed very well with everything. It then explained how he could have upgrades and how he started to make all these different weapons, including like some Halo, like energy swords looking things.
Yeah, it's so insane.
It's pretty cool.
It's so insane, and it was like went straight to action. Yep. You know, like we didn't get more than probably 2-3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes at the most in between action scenes. And even those couple of minutes, if it was stretched out more than a couple of minutes, it was because that was an intense, dramatic scene.
Yeah,
right? Basically. There was a lot of stuff, like the emotions that we had, like the emotions I had. Like I expect my hair to be crazy because I was like pulling on it, running through it. I'm like sweating, and I'm like, I tell you this, man. Like when I saw Spider-Man's spider tingles, man, I felt like I got the goosebumps. My spider tingles just watching it, man.
Did you see your hair like start to rise?
Yeah, I felt the same thing. I was like, I couldn't believe how like emotional I was getting through watching it. Like, man, I laughed and cried so many times, and I don't mean like cried just because it was like emotional. Right. I mean, I laughed so hard and cried, man, because there was some real funny stuff.
Yeah, there was some really good stuff in it, actually.
And it was a great balance too.
Yes, the fact that it was so balanced, and the fact that so many people could watch without even seeing everything else, was genius for how they ended up making this movie. For real.
I really like, you know, it's kind of hard to have so many big name characters, so many storylines, so many things all in one movie, and they definitely found a great way to balance it out. Now, that I do have some cons, but we're gonna keep on the pros for now, and we'll get to that. But with that, I tell you this: the first like 30 minutes, I probably need like an anxiety pill or Xanax afterward, because like I was just so many emotions. It was so intense. And then, no spoiler alert, this is where everything was so tense right after Tony and all this stuff where everybody being attacked. Then comes in the GOGs, man, the Guardians of the Galaxy that completely flip our mood around just in time. Like I was like an emotional wreck at that point, and then all of a sudden they came in to make us laugh, and man, was I laughing so hard, man. It was so good, man. Classic.
Yeah, I'd have to say the Guardians of the Galaxy being in this movie added a lot to it. I couldn't, like, if you tried to take them away, it just wouldn't feel right. Especially with them, like, they were their own side piece for a while, but it was such a good idea to bring them into the main storyline so that they actually get not just the limelight, but they bring their characters, how they end up acting and stuff, and it gives off a really good vibe. And that mix-up, like you said, from going to that intense emotional state, flipping it around, then it's bam, full of laughter.
Which is, again, what a great part of what the movie was doing to us throughout the whole. Every time we would start to become emotional, right, they'll lighten us up and keep us, in
check.
So it's really, really kudos to Kevin Feige, Louis Despacito, all of you guys out there in the Marvel Studios. It's really great job, man. So, and with that scene, the banter between Thor and Star-Lord, man, that had to be one of my favorite parts of the movie. It's so funny.
It was pretty funny.
It's so smooth, like, oh man. And Chris Hemsworth, man, is he not hitting them punchlines?
Yeah, he really was. He was hitting some one-liners. It was pretty good.
And his thing, I don't know if you felt the same way, but Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one was awesome and well balanced as far as action and humor and drama, just like this. But the second one I felt like was a little humor heavy, a little too much. Like
the balance wasn't quite the same.
Yeah, like I love that Drax can fight a lighter side of himself, but he laughed a little too much in the other. But this one though, on point. Drax. Also one of my favorite characters, man. I'm gonna probably say that too every time I mention a character.
It's hard because it's like they started so well on developing all these characters in live action films that people are gonna have such a hard time being like, oh hey, who's your favorite character? They're just gonna be like, the
Avengers.
And start like twitching in the eye or something.
That's my answer, the Avengers.
Oh man.
So that was really great.
Yeah. So, but yeah, for more spoilers, I'd have to say my favorite, like, parts of it, hands down, had to be Thor making his new weapon, Spider-Man making the Iron Spider suit his own. So at first, whenever I saw the Iron Spider suit, like in the advertisements and stuff like that, I was like, okay, it looks cool, but I wanted to see the red and gold classic spider suit where it ended up having claws and stuff on his back that could kind of extend out like legs.
But
I was so excited to see that actually become a reality, though. The fact that they didn't hide that, but they hit it from the
They actually utilized that a lot too.
Yeah,
in
they
the
did.
Movie, and I didn't expect that because I thought it was just gonna be kind of a flashy thing, just kind of like to feed to the fans. It's like, oh, he has the arms with it, and that was it. But no, they really utilized
that. They integrated it a lot.
How it was actually functional, and the reason why Tony Stark put it in. So really great, man. Okay, everything.
Yeah. Man. But definitely like one of the shattering parts for me though when it came to watching the movie had to be whenever Thor finally comes on the scene using his axe.
Yes.
Dude, that was insane. That made me kind of almost want to shit my pants a little bit. I looked up and I was like, oh boy, this is about to be
as I want to say, for almost every introduction I kind of felt like that as well. You know what I mean? When Tony Stark first put on that new armor, when the Hulk came crashing into starting fighting with Thanos, Spider-Man's arm tingling, and yeah, it was just like I had goosebumps, I had chills. I was like a little kid.
Yeah,
I was like a little teenage girl at a Justin Bieber concert. I never thought I would ever use that as a way to describe myself, but I guess that's the best way to put it. But no, man, insane. And speaking of Tony and Spidey, what a dynamic, right? Those two, the duo, the jokes between the two of them are so classic. So it was two to rival, the banter between Thor and Star-Lord.
Yep.
But yeah, it's so perfect. And then the father-son type of relationship that they have. Like,
yeah.
I'm not trying to jump to the end already, but one of the emotional parts was when they kind of had that father-son moment,
Yeah. Where he saw him disappear.
Yeah.
That was intense.
So we're already jumping ahead, but this is spoilers. So anyways, you guys most likely, you watching this, you already know that happened.
Yeah. So long story short, it is a lot of action, definitely well balanced, followed by a lot of your heroes suddenly disappearing off the face of the planet, and a huge, really good end credit scene. Stay tuned through all of it. It's worth it. I promise you.
Yeah, it's really good. That's the scene. Now, I know we're trying to keep this short here, but I feel like we're all over the place because there's so much happening. So we're so excited.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the end and how it ended. I am a huge fan of that because one, it's not your traditional, it's not what you expect, it's not the happy ending, and this is supposed to be the setup of the next part of Avengers movie. Anyways, because this was originally supposed to be part 1 of 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it kind of makes sense to, but also the reason why I'm such a big fan of the ending is because of the ending was a happy ending for the star of the movie. That's what it comes down to. Thanos was the actual star of that movie, and I thought that was awesome that they did that. I've always had ideas of movies, and I always thought of myself making a movie, and with the bad guy it was through his perspective. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like what we got. Thanos, we got so much Thanos.
We got a lot of Thanos.
So many different levels of Thanos too, which was awesome.
Yep, the way that they perceived him, it kind of showed how, he was a Titan, he's strong, he has his abilities, they showed that off. But they showed a little bit more of his emotional aspect as well when it came to who he is individually as a person, and they kind of dug into that a lot more, rather than just his mad Titan persona of, I'm going to punch everything and kill everything.
Right.
They characterized him. Which is
excellent, because they don't do that enough. With bad guys in any kind of movie, whether it's a comic book movie or a western or whatever, these bad guys are just straight cold-hearted killers. But the way I always look at it is, I always think about people. There was at some point in that person's life, they were a regular person who actually loved someone, whether it was their mother or a girlfriend or whatever. And then not to jump to DC, but that's one of the good things about like a lot of the Batman bad guys. They have those kind of different levels, and Spider-Man too as well. A lot of the Spider-Man bad guys have those kind of conflicted level where it's like 1 minute you're not sure if you should be sympathetic to them because of what they went through. And man, that's why I'm such a big comic book fan, because of stuff like this.
Yeah, for me, I'm definitely a fan of both Marvel and DC. So I really wish that DC, hopefully, keeps it up there in the theaters. I know.
I'll tell you this, after this, DC is probably pissing their pants. Like, what are we going to do to catch up to this? Like, this is epic. This is incredible. And, like a little spoiler with that Venom, too soon thing, I kind of felt like, same thing with Justice League. They Justice League a little too soon because they kind of want to try and play catch up. You know what I mean? So
I can't wait for them to end up showing a little bit more off of Venom, as well as you just mentioned. I cannot wait for Venom to fully end up coming out, so we can talk a lot more about that as well.
I don't want to get distracted from what we're the subject here though. Now with this though, man, we've been going off with pros. And now every single movie, especially if you're diehard comic books, and it's hard for them to keep it, to cater to the masses, and to the diehard comic book geeks who know all the intricate details.
Yeah.
But with that being said, what are your cons?
So when it comes to all together, like the little details, I guess, The only real like cons I would really say would be intricate details such as like maybe alternate colors when it comes to suits and stuff. So for example, the Iron Spider suit, like I said, I did kind of miss the golden red color skin with the giant spider going actually like encasing his body.
Right.
I do kind of like that classic model over the one that they used, but this new model that I created is still really nice. I'm definitely not giving it any hate. Loved what they did with it overall. The only other like intricate details that I say that I didn't like too much overall is when it came to Bruce Banner trying to become the Hulk later, they didn't really go that far into why he couldn't turn into the Hulk. Hulk would just say no, and then he couldn't access that form. I know that they're trying to save that for a later movie, but I feel like we deserve just a little bit more of an explanation before they unravel that problem later on down the line, because right now it's like such a random skit that happened in that part of the movie that it wasn't really defined enough to keep people wondering. It was just, oh, something's wrong with Hulk, oh well, and then there would be amazing action, all this comedy and stuff, and I feel like that's something that many people are just going to kind of miss out on, would be that internal battle that was happening there.
Right. And I have to, and I'll jump on board with that too, because I was like pretty disappointed, because it's like, you know, they made it seem like the Hulk was scared, and that's not a Hulk characteristic.
Yeah, so, there was something off about it. There was something off.
So yeah, I definitely agree. It was a little disappointing. At the same time, I understand. You know, I'm always playing devil's advocate as well. You know, I understand they're going to save that for the big fight because the Hulk is so OP.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they had to kind of give them a crutch somehow to balance it out. So because he lost that one fight, but the Hulk is like a Super Saiyan, man. When he loses a fight, he comes back stronger and tougher, man. So
exactly.
The next one.
The next part that I also kind of have a little grievance of, but not too big of one, because they did such an amazing job with how they made him look. So whenever Thor was on screen, he looked amazing, generally speaking. He may not have exactly matched comic book standards, and I know that it's not going to. But when it comes to, I guess, his overall play throughout the film, we actually only saw him in, I guess, what I could call God mode, whenever he ends up accessing that, like, Odin's special abilities and stuff. We only saw that for maybe 30 seconds, if even, throughout the entire film. I was a little bit upset about that, because I was like, you could have shown off Thor just a little bit more when it came to what he could have actually done.
Right, I was like, I was expecting like lightning bolts and stuff when he was first like approached by Thanos, like trying to at least escape or whatever. You know, so the fact that he didn't come to God mode until like the end, you know, again, of course they kind of build up for that, and that was most of his storyline, was building up to that point.
Plus it helps whenever, I know this is part of the lore of Thor, is that he becomes more powerful whenever he's supposed to be wielding Mjolnir, sorry, I almost mispronounced that, and his axe, which I don't know the name of it yet, but
Stormbreaker.
Stormbreaker, that's right, sorry. And whenever he's holding Swampert,
which is actually in a comic book.
Yeah, that is an accurate thing, which I was impressed with. But whenever he's holding it, he's also supposed to be more powerful, etc. And they did that part correct. I just wish that we got to see a little bit more of that. And then the other part, this is probably my last and only grievance, is between Scarlet Witch and Vision. I know that it probably would never happen as well, so I'm not going to even try to attack that bridge. But what I am going to kind of say is, when it comes to Vision, they kind of made him seem just like a side piece, when he could have done a lot more, in my opinion.
Much more. For example, just to jump in, because that was one of my cons, was this Vision is one of the most OP characters in Marvel, and not just to mention the Avengers, but in Marvel, period. Yeah. And with Scarlet Witch as well. Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange, matter of fact, are two people who actually change reality themselves. So spoiler, who knows what happens in the future. But with that though, for Captain America, you know, I love Cap, but of course a big fan of Cap, but on power level status, he's nowhere compared to Vision. So for him to take out the guy that was smacking Vision around like a rag doll was pretty upsetting right there. With that, I don't know if you have any more, but I was about to go into my cons, because Now you got me going.
Yeah, the only thing I have left is just I wish we could have seen a remake of Cap's shield. That's the only thing, but that's my last
when
thing.
it's like, get this man a shield. I thought it was gonna come out with
a real shield.
with the actual star and banner.
Not gauntlets.
Not that big black thing, but yeah. So now my conclusion, you know, I mean, I'm glad that you touched something that saved some time. But one of them that I'm gonna say really disappointing to me was the lack of Black Panther and Black Widow. Because in Civil War, right, those were my two favorites. They had the best fight scenes between Black Panther and Black Widow. I couldn't tell you which one had the better fight scenes, because in Civil War, those were my two favorites. And in this one, I felt like when that was another one I got goosebumps. Black Widow came in. Oh my goodness, man, she is just so badass. And but when Black Panther came in, and I was waiting because that's another thing. They had taken a long time to bring Black Panther out, which I was very disappointed on that part. And then when he did come out, it was only for a couple of seconds, and it wasn't like everybody else where he came to where he came out with his costume and got into action right away. You know, we waited till near the end of the movie for Black Panther to get into action, and they barely even showed him in action.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that. That right there was my biggest disappointment out of everything. Other than that, man, I'm gonna leave it as is, man, because I think that was definitely one of the greatest movies of all time.
I think we pretty much covered everything.
I never knew I had as many emotions as I went throughout that movie. So definitely with that, any last words before we wrap this up?
Nothing really. I mean, go see the movie.
Definitely see the movie, for real. Now, real quick, I don't know if we'll have time to add this in, but I definitely want to give a big shout out to our man Evan here, who just picked up a sponsor for the big competition.
Thanks so much, man. It's definitely a really big pickup as of recently. I went through a hard time, and right on the other side of that, about a couple days ago, actually, about a week ago, they ended up telling me, hey, congratulations, you're sponsored. We're going to be sending you all over the country and stuff.
That's great. Well, hey, they're sponsoring you, so do what they pay you for.
Yeah, exactly. So shout out, I guess, to Dimensions, and for them ending up supporting me as well. If you guys want more information about that or any other type of video gamings, again, you can always just hit me up at Dynamic Gaming, and we'll see what happens from there.
Man, best of luck to you, man.
Thank you so much.
He don't need it, but you guys have a great one. Enjoy Infinity Wars.